right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Papa, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you, Vanessa. Nice to see you.
Good morning. You look great.
Thank you. It's a bright Saturday morning, and you have one more week.
Yeah, two weeks.
I'll tell you, I have COVID head. Every date is just kind of mixed up in my head.
Nothing mattered. It's all crazy. Yeah.
Yes.
I get it.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, I like that backdrop with the beach and the lifeguard tower. That's nice.
Yeah. So one second here. Bright Saturday morning, and we have one more week. All right, there we go. I am recording all of this just so we're all clear and all that good stuff. And a couple more folks are coming on in.
So how do you do the live on YouTube thing?
There's a little button right down at the bottom that just says record to YouTube, and I said, okay. I have a YouTube account.
That's probably why.
Yeah.
Awesome. VJ, he was in a meeting with me yesterday. Yesterday? Yes, that was yesterday.
Hello, everyone. VJ, good to see you.
Hi, VJ.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Why you look bright and cheerful early in the morning, John?
Well, it's bright and early, and it is Saturday, right?
Yeah.
It all starts to seem the same.
Yeah.
Well, good to see you. Thanks for joining today.
Our pleasure.
So how many people usually come?
My first one I had about 40. We have about 22 that signed up this time. I have a feeling everybody's a little zoomed out. So
A little bit.
yeah, everybody's a little.
So true.
What I had presented the last time, and it was right when everybody was like, "What is Zoom and what's going on?" And we were all a bit nervous. It was back in April, and yeah, I was looking at it, and it's like, wow. Just in 6 months, it's gone. Everybody's like, another Zoom meeting and another this and another that, and oh my goodness. So we're.
Although it's interesting inviting people to my wedding, because my wedding, for everybody else who's on the call, my wedding is in 2 weeks and it's going to be on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of people who are not up to speed yet.
I know there are a number of folks that are not. So. It's interesting.
Well, that's why, Vanessa, we talked about that yesterday.
Yes,
we need to really offer something to seniors. They're not like you and me, many of them, and they have trouble with even a smartphone.
Yeah. My 93-year-old father is continuously impressing me, though. I had to be away 2 nights because my fiance had knee surgery and I was staying at his place because it was easier for him there than it was here. And my father had to get on a couple of Zoom meetings all by himself, and he did.
Wow.
Because I was in those meetings too, and I was like, you did it.
92? 92?
93.
93.
Wow.
It's like the guy who doesn't empty the dishwasher because he doesn't want to be asked to empty the dishwasher, or he does it wrong so that the wife doesn't ask him. So
that's me. That's me.
I keep teasing my dad. You really do know how to do these things. You're just pretending not to, so that I'll help you.
I got away with it for a long time, but not anymore.
That's it.
Doesn't work.
We'll give another minute or so. Yeah, we'll give another minute or so. Just we've got a couple of folks coming in. So.
Oh, VJ, that looks like a good shake. Healthy.
That's my protein shake. I go on the treadmill for about 45 minutes and then do yoga and stretching and all that. So from 6:30 to 8:30, since the gym is closed, I don't have a choice.
Good for you.
Thank you.
So VJ is on our Beach Cities Health District strategic planning team.
Yes.
So we had a 4-hour marathon strategic planning
Well,
session.
John was in on it.
I was there
Yes.
too.
That was crazy. We're on our own for coffee and pastries. That's cute.
You are. So.
Well, that's why I got my shake.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out how to do that virtually yet. So.
Yeah. Well, people were suggesting we could send people catered meals for the wedding. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. That's not happening.
That's not going to happen. So. All right. Got a couple more folks. I know it's got a couple here.
So you did the screen share and I lost the list of participants.
Yeah, so it should be.
I got it.
If you do down at the bottom, you can still see that. So, hello everyone. We're just about to get started. Right. Okay. All right. Well, tell you what, it's 5 after. You guys were all on time. Let's maybe just get started. So I know everybody has been Zooming for the last 6 months. So these are all I'm going to do is just kind of go here real quick. So basically, what we're looking at is, I look at it like this. I love it that you guys all know Zoom. You can unmute yourself, do all those different things. We're not worried about it. And if something happens, we'll do things. But totally interactive is what we want. Okay, so I've got just a couple of things to talk about, but what I've been getting from the public thus far has been, we've been getting just a ton of questions about different stuff. So I'm happy to answer all of these different questions. If you have questions, you can either raise your hand. It's a little thing down at the bottom there where you can raise your hand, just wave at me. I'll be looking at you guys as well. And I didn't make any prepared things other than the agenda that I'd sent out. And it was real generic. It was what's going on with police and fire. How is the city doing? What's about the Galleria? And we're starting to get back to kind of some normal things. Looking at the numbers and the different things that we've been kind of going through for COVID and how we're doing. I can share some of that information if you guys are interested, but just wanted to make this interactive. I'll bet you we don't even go the whole hour and a half because I don't see that there's that much to talk about, but if you guys have tons of questions, I'm happy to do it. So anyway, here's what I usually do, and I'm gonna stop sharing the screen here. And mostly what I do is, what I like to do anyway, is to have everybody just kind of introduce yourself. Where do you live? And do you have any questions that we want to make sure we answer? So I'm just going to go down the line. If you can unmute yourself if you're unmuted and just say, introduce yourself, where you live, and what you got going on. So Marco, why don't you get us started?
Sure. Marco Papa here. I'm at 1502 Phelan Lane. I've been now here in Redondo for, 10 years. So it's been a while. Yeah, the house was new when we came in, no longer.
And you come to a lot of the meetings, so thank you very much. And even online now. So
yeah, I'm actually one of the lucky ones with. And I'm off the grid because I have solar, I have a power wall. I can stay off the grid for probably weeks.
Good.
And whether they have blackouts or not, I really don't care.
Terrific. Well, good. Thanks for being here. Anything that you want to make sure we touch on today?
I think I sent you that thing about the homeless court.
Yes, homeless court. Yes.
I work for the court, so I get these things.
Yes.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I'll touch on that in just a little bit. So sounds great. Thank you very much.
By the way, I have a lot of those plastic caps that I've collected.
I'm happy to.
I have those too.
Yes. So I'm actually in the process of doing a cap collection day, and so we'll have a place where you can drop them off, or I'll come by and get them. Just text me, email me, send me something.
Okay. Well. Yeah, we'll be happy to get all the. I've Quite a few, actually.
Yeah. So
Are you in the same group as Gila is in, or is she collecting them for a different group?
They're all the same. So they all come to Redondo Beach Kiwanis. So
Oh, fantastic.
I'm a past president of Redondo Beach Kiwanis, and what we're talking about is what's called a buddy bench. And what we've done is we, as Redondo Beach Kiwanis, we have a program called the Buddy Bench program, where we are collecting bottle caps, plastic bottle caps, numbers 2, 4, or 5 recycling, and we're collecting those. The schools are also collecting them, and what we're doing is it's called the Kiwanis Pay It Forward Buddy Bench program. We're giving a bench to each one of the schools here in Redondo Beach. We're asking them to raise $750 and collect 500 pounds worth of bottle caps. And for that, they get a second bench for them to install at their schools, as well as then another bench to give to another school. And it's this whole kind of putting these benches in there. Again, show you pictures of one if you'd like, but it's a really great program. So what everyone's been doing in the community, they're collecting their bottle caps, and it's kind of like you know, just a little bottle cap on top of here. And I'll tell you, we have a storage facility. We have probably, I'd say about 4,000 pounds over in the storage facility over in Redondo. The schools each have about 400, 500 pounds. And my wife wants to be able to park both cars in our garage, but half of it's got bottle caps. So it's just pretty crazy. So but thank you. And I will come pick them up if you wish. So, all right. How about we go to Mary McCarthy.
Oh, hello. Yeah, I'm Mary McCarthy. I'm on the 2100 block of Carnegie Lane. I've been in Redondo since about 2005. I live in South Redondo, and now I'm in North Redondo. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Well, thanks, Mary. Thanks for being here. Is there?
I did have something to bring up. It's kind of silly, but Halloween. Are we expecting trick-or-treaters? Maybe we could touch on that.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll give you what the county has talked about, but I'll touch on all of those things as well. Okay. Yeah, the Halloween's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. How about you, VJ? Why don't you introduce yourself and things you want to talk about?
Okay, I'm Vijay Jeste. I live on 2400 block of Huntington Lane, not too far from the senior center where we used to have the meetings. We have owned this unit since 1991, but on and off, because then I was working in Illinois and Indiana. So after we retired, we came back at the end of 2012. So we have been here for almost 8 years now.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Well, just a note for Huntington Lane. We're going to, in 2021, I just went through the pavement management survey, and Huntington is one of the streets that is kind of in dire need of being repaved and a whole bunch of work being done. So we're going to be doing that. There's a couple other streets there as well, but I noted that Huntington was there on that list.
Great, nice to hear that.
Yes, you're welcome.
I know some work is going on right now.
Yeah, so mostly what's going on right now are a lot of the ADA compliant curb cuts is what it's called. And that's going on right now. So, but lots of stuff going on when there's not as many people out on the streets. So, all right. Well, thank you, BJ. Thanks for being here. How about Bob Cutler? You're muted if you'd like to unmute yourself. Bob, did you want to join or introduce yourself? Oh, okay. I said I can only listen, have no webcam yet, have no microphone either. Okay. Well, Bob, thank you very much for being here. And if you have or would like to send any comments in or anything like that, go ahead and type me a message if you have any questions or things that you want to make sure we talk about. So sorry, I just saw your thing in the chat there. So Gary Wright, Rehel. Hello, Gary. Did you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, am I good?
You are.
Okay, I'm trying to figure it out here. I live over here by Grocery Outlet. I'm a kind of an old timer around town here anymore. I like to dial into these meetings to stay up to speed on things around town.
Sounds great. And anything that you want to make sure we've covered today?
No, I'm just kind of curious to get the update on all the curbs. I see them pouring new curbs and walkways around town here, seeing where everything's at and what's going on.
Well, thank you very much for joining, Gary. Appreciate it. And I'll tell you, that Grocery Outlet, I'm there at least once a week. So with full mask on. I love that store.
I got a 5-gallon bucket of bottle caps for you too.
Sweet. I love it. Tell you what, all you need to do is just tell me your address and I'll come on over. So,
okay.
Yep. So, and we feature contactless pickup. How's that?
That's okay. Very good.
Well, thank you, Gary. Thanks for being on with us. How about Kabir? Kabir, you want to unmute yourself there? Oh, there you are. You're on.
There we go. Kabir Yadav. I'm here at 700 block of Clark Lane with my wife and kid and dog. I've been on, I think, one of your calls before.
Yes, you have.
Actually, both of us are emergency physicians at Harbor UCLA.
Wow.
In 2014, and yeah, just happy to know a little bit more about what's going on in the neighborhood.
Terrific. How are you doing since you're in emergency services? How are you guys doing and faring with all the COVID and everything that's going on? Everything okay?
It's been tough. I won't lie. There's been lots of challenges, not the least of which were all the things that you heard in the news going on nationally is happening here as well. The PPE problems, testing problems, people being afraid to go into the hospital with other problems, then getting sicker and then coming in with their problems. But yeah, it's real and we've been dealing with it. It ebbs and flows. Seems to be every holiday weekend, a week or two later, we'll see all the folks that were either forced to work or tried to relax a little too much or what have you. Reality is that this is with us for a while. So we're just for the long haul.
Well, and I know it's one thing. Just thank you very much for what you and your wife do, and anything that we can ever do to help you, just getting info on the neighborhood. Thank you very much for doing that. Really appreciate it. So, are there any things that you wanted to make sure we talked about?
I heard people mention the curb cut, so I was just interested to know what actually was going on with that, because I noticed all the construction. I assume that the reason we're doing the curb cuts is to make all the sidewalks ADA compatible. Yes. I'd noticed that at least some of them, the concrete has been poured very nicely, and others the asphalt doesn't quite line up. So
correct.
I imagine this is it's going to be multiple steps over a period of time to get everything right and proper. So being patient is.
I love it. I am recording this, so I'm going to use your name. That's exactly what's going on with them. And the contractors are laying the concrete. They're doing all of that. Then they'll go through and they'll smooth it all out. So it's all good. But, yeah, I'm getting quite a few calls about those. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for being here, Kabir. So, all right. Okay. We have, let's see here. Lynn Wood.
Hi, my name is Lynn. I'm at the 1800 block of Aviation Way for about 2 years, but I'm a lifelong South Bay Torrance resident, and I went to Redondo High School.
Terrific.
I'm here to find out about what's going on with the Galleria.
Okay, great. Galleria. All right, we've got one. All right.
And apparently so is my dog.
That's the beauty of being at home and on Zoom. You get to meet other people's pets and other folks that live there with you. So
yes, thank you for having this meeting.
You're welcome, and thanks. And any other questions come on up, please let me know. So, all right, let's see here. Let's do Scott Fellows.
Yes, hi, I'm Scott Fellows, and I own and operate for 34 years, 35 years, Critics' Choice Catering and Event Production, and I'm located on Phelan Lane, just next to Page Park in North Redondo, right near where Beelan Boulevard comes in off of the freeway and in Englewood Avenue. Been there for a long time, and our business has grown, and we're doing really, really great. We had a record year last year, and this year, unfortunately, is not a record year, but we are still hanging in there with lots of specialty lunch packets and all these special things we did for Seaside Lagoon, and the Chamber of Commerce. We did a lobster fest last month, and we did these huge baskets of food with lobster and shrimp and all kinds of hot roasted brisket, and we sold hundreds of those, and we made a lot of money, but it's not like what we used to do. And I'm just waiting for this whole pandemic to somehow subside and things get back to normal, because our business is not just about feeding, meals to, 4 people at one time and having, 100 of their neighbors show up and buy it for $100 each. Great. It feeds 4 to 6 people for 2 days, so it's a great meal. But the deal is, though, is that we like doing, weddings for 200 people and, all those fancy locations that we know and love. And, we just had to cut a lot of that down. So, but we're still hanging in there. But my concern now, though, and it has been for about the last year and a half or so, is the amount of crime coming in from, areas east of Redondo Beach.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Lawndale, Hawthorne, God knows wherever else east of Redondo Beach. And we've had 3 of our trucks, over the last year and a half or so. They've been broken over and have our catalytic converters stolen. And so we've had to put in a whole bunch more cameras. We've had to put alert systems in. We've notified the local police, of course. And, in fact, the chief of police in Redondo is one of my college buddies. And, of course, he's, 20 years after me, but he's still a Bruin buddy. And, so, there's people that have come by to help and all, but there's just this infiltration, and it seemed to be heightened a little bit, not necessarily in our parking lot, but throughout the world. There's just a lot of, I'm not talking about, BLM protests. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about individuals and small groups that are just want to get something, and that's the concern that I have. But I love my city of Redondo. I don't live here, but I've been here for 35 years. So,
right.
And, a lot of you folks have been to my house before, or at least Mr. Gran has. Mm-hmm. And by the way, you can throw a party and you can invite me too, John, if you'd like.
Sure. We'll have to talk to my wife about that, but that's fine. No parties at this point.
I was just kidding.
Well, thank you very much for being on the line, Scott. I appreciate it. Even though you're a Torrance resident, you're allowed on the calls. How's that?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Tony, I see you're in your car.
Yes, but I am pulled over, so no worries. I'm not going to drive and Zoom.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I live in the 1900 block of Condon Avenue over by the Galleria. Yes. And have been in the area for, 18 years now. So I previously lived on Vanderbilt Lane. So been in the, Artesia adjacent kind of area for a long time now. So sure. First time meeting, just want to check out and see how it goes.
Sounds great. Well, I actually live on Vanderbilt, the 2500 block of Vanderbilt as well. So we're neighbors. So
yeah.
And thanks. And anything you wanted to make sure we touch on?
No, just curious to see what this is about. Thanks.
Sounds good. We'll hopefully catch everything then. All right. How about Jason M? Hello, Jason.
He's on mute.
Yes, you're on mute. All right. Oh, sorry. He's I'm in an environment where you can't speak, just listening today. Thanks. Just saw that. Sorry about that. All right. We called on him. So I got a little chat there. So thank you very much, Jason. And thanks for listening today. And if you have any questions or anything that you want to make sure that we are able to touch on, just send them in the chat. Happy to do so. Okay. How about Stephen West?
Hey, good morning, Councilman Gran and everybody.
Morning.
It's early Saturday. Oh my gosh, that's why I have my camera off. I look like that fuzzy dog in your opening screen.
I did just before we got online. So
I live on the 1900 block of Grant Avenue, right here at Bernie Elementary. My little girl just graduated from there and now attends Adams, which means she doesn't attend Adams. It's now, through a computer.
Yeah.
I have to just give kudos to the school's administration, the work those people are doing. I don't think they get enough credit in these times, but they've done a fantastic job. Everybody's juggling. It's hard for teachers. It's hard for students. It's hard for parents. But again, the Adams administration has just been spot on with what they're doing. I was born in Redondo Beach. I bounced between Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach. I lived up in Santa Barbara for quite a few years, came back after I met a girl from Torrance. My wife works for the city of Redondo. She works for the Parks and Rec department. She's a pre-K teacher. So she works hand in hand with the school districts also to prepare young children and get them ready for the next step, moving up to kindergarten. I took a little leap. I don't know why I did this last year, but I did the Redondo Beach Citizens Police Academy, number 44. I can't tell you what an experience that was. First of all, to meet my neighbors was phenomenal, but to see the layers of law enforcement that takes place within a police department and then within our local group, it was unbelievable. Canine detectives, we got to drive the police cars. They put us in simulated situations of a pullover. I don't know how they do it, what those men and women run into and still try to stay calm. Holy cow. I was in a fake situation, right? It was a nerve rattler, but that was terrific. And then I closed out the year doing the Redondo Beach Fire Department CERT program, which again, I don't know what came over me to do all these Redondo Beach things, but I got to tell you, the timing of the police department academy and the CERT program, which again was phenomenal, again, to meet the men and women of the fire department, meet your neighbors, understand how to prepare your own home for any potential disaster, how to assist your neighbors and be ready and now be on a call list that if something happens, I am certified to go and assist people. So I'm full Redondo. I'm full Redondo. So this is my first meeting, and not to blather on too much, but thanks for having it, Councilman.
Yeah, I've been through both of those academies, and I highly recommend them, both the Citizens Academy for the Police as well as the CERT. Last year, CERT, I was able to get $5,000 worth of funding to kind of help them go forth as well. They were hurting a little bit, but it was really nice to be able to do that. And CERT's a really great program. It's the Citizens Emergency Response Team, and it's really great to be able to prepare yourself for or prepare your home and then help others once if there is a disaster and we're not able to have our fire department do that. So great stuff.
Thanks, Councilman. One last thing. So when I was in the police academy, the chief sat down next to me and we small talked, and he asked me, so what was my motivation to do this? And I said, one day I'm going to need a friend, and one day you're going to need a friend. And I can't believe how that has come to pass, that a police officer needs a friend. And it was a casual comment, but we both looked and today it makes total sense. We all need a friend. And we all need to support those men and women of our police department.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for getting involved. I'll tell you, one of the things about Redondo Beach is that we do have very active residents. We all maintain our level of activity, but thank you very much. And those are two great programs to get involved. If you ever want to be considered for a commission, that's the next level.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it is.
Make sure.
Thank you. So my issue is the gallery. That's getting to me in the sense of security, safety, cleanliness. What's behind TJ Maxx is then that whole bus area. it's a mess. You know, my little girl for the first time asked me what that tower was, right? With the blinking light on it, the trailer with the blinking light. And she'd never seen that. And that started just when all this other stuff, COVID and the demonstration started. She had no clue to what that was. And I said, well, sweetie, it's a safety, security thing. And that's a first. I mean, 20 years, that's how bad that area has got. That the employees of Ralph's struggle with people wandering in off the bus stop, and I think they're dumping people. I mean, that's just my opinion. The number of people and the unfortunate mental state of the people there, they need help, and it's just a really unsecure place. We have neighbors that will not go there anymore. They're going to run down to, you know, Vaughn's and Hermosa, or one of the more expensive stores, or grocery outlet, of course. That's why I'm here today. See what's new there.
Sounds great. I'll talk a little bit about homelessness as well, and also some of the things that are going on as well in that area. So
thank you.
And I think we have one more person, Scott Turner. If you want to unmute yourself. And Scott, are you available?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My first time working with Zoom, so bear with. So we are on the 2300 block of Vanderbilt Lane. Been there since, God, 1988, 1989, something like that, eons ago. As far as any questions or concerns, I'd responded to your invite the other day. You know, posted a couple of questions, kind of echoes, you know, what some other people have expressed as concerns. That is, you know, just kind of the Galleria, what's going on there. Also extension of the Green Line, and there's something else I asked too, but anyway.
Right. And I'm sorry, I'll look up the emails, but if I can certainly touch on the Green Line, absolutely. And a couple other things. And you know, you live on the best street in Redondo Beach, so it's kind of how it works.
That's true.
And thank you very much, Scott, for joining, and hope that you join some of the meetings when we go in person as well. So that would be great. So it's nice to have residents being involved. So, and then I'm sorry, last but not least, Vanessa Poster. So thank you very much, Vanessa. Appreciate it.
I might be the shortest person here. So that
well,
could be
not
true
on Zoom.
Exactly. I like that.
There's just as big as everyone else's.
So my name is Vanessa Poster, and I am a board member on the Beach Cities Health District. So I am also one of your local elected officials. You are my constituents. And so I'm here to answer any questions you might have about the health district, and just to make sure everybody has this phone number, 310-374-3426. Extension 256. That is a hotline. It's not 24 hours, but it is 7 days a week, extension 256 at the health district. If you need anything, we have people answering that call. They can refer you places. They can get you food if you need food. We are working, we were talking with VJ earlier, we're working to get volunteers together to help people get online. We are here to help in COVID, and we have been answering calls every day, doing a great job with that, and it's been really nice. I wanted to say, Scott Fellows, I know you because I used to work at South Bay Free Clinic, and you donated every year to our gourmet sampler. So I really appreciate that. And I was looking at your name thinking, I know him. And then you said what you do. And I'm like, oh my God, he was always one of our donors. So thank you for that. And then for Stephen West, so the next thing you need to do, and I'm surprised John didn't say this, but you need to do the Leadership Redondo next.
That one's next, you're right.
So I've done all three of those as well. And CERT was my favorite, holding the fire hose. It's like, you're seriously not pulling this? This is really all the, oh my God. That was really fun.
That was fun.
And shooting a gun as part of the Citizens Police Academy. That was pretty cool too. And then just, it's really great to be here. And I appreciate what John does for this community. I live in District 2, but we're citizens of the world right now. And it's really nice to see everybody. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Vanessa. Appreciate it. And, you know, Vanessa and I have been friends for the last couple of years, and you do a fantastic job with the Beach Cities Health District. So Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. We have one last person. Dave Amato just came in. Dave, we've been introducing ourselves. Why don't you go ahead and just let us know who you are and what, where you live and what you want to talk about. And I think I know what you want to talk about, but I'll just let you say it. How's that?
Doesn't look like he has audio.
Hello, Dave. Are you there? No. All right. Well, I do know that Mr. Amato lives over on Kingsdale and is usually talking about Kingsdale and that kind of area down there. So we'll be touching a lot of that on when it's Galleria time. So, all right. Wait,
my question is street sweeping.
Street sweeping. Sounds great. So
everybody keeps asking me in my neighborhood.
All right. I can handle street sweeping. So, all right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. And like I said, if you have any questions that come up or anything like that, just either raise your hand, speak, do whatever you want to do there, but kind of keep this pretty straightforward here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen just briefly. I would much rather be talking to you folks directly. So let me figure this out here. And I'll tell you what, I'm gonna wing it here. So we're gonna, let's see. So anyway, let's get started, and I'll just kind of go down our list of things that we had here. And let's do this. There you go. So first and foremost, Marco, when you had talked, when you did your thing, there's a thing called the homeless court. And what homeless court is it's basically where homeless folks are go to court to actually be processed through the whole programs. So if they've been picked up, if they have infractions, they have issues, they have certain things that they do, they go to, there's a special court set up and it's in Torrance, and it is a place that their special needs are there. There are services, there are prosecutors work with them, and they either are trying to help them get services or they're trying to get them through programs. So what Redondo Beach has done, this is a pilot program that we started last year. And what we did is instead of just trying to kind of put these people into the system and get them into jail and do all these things, they've been trying to work with Harbor Interfaith, which is a group that actually does wonderful work with the homeless folks. They know a lot of those folks, and they're trying to get them housing, they're trying to get them services, they try to get them cleaned up and things like that. And there's a number of churches that also serve as food places for them, and it's a kind of a nice network. What ended up happening is that our prosecutors, they started this program, and they were saying, look, what we're doing right now is we're banging our head against the wall by putting these people in. Even during COVID, even before COVID, they go in for a couple of days and they come back out and they're back out on the streets. And it's this cycle that just kept going and going. So what they ended up doing is they ended up doing this pilot program where they actually go through and they put them through a program where they get them temporary housing and then hopefully permanent housing. They actually go through a whole different couple of steps to get them a job, to get them some other things and all that. And the idea is that it was like, hey, let's actually take care of this person and get them services. And again, it's not a crime to be homeless, but you know, it's one of those things where when you're out and you're a bit desperate, things happen. So we're working through that, you know, as a city. What ended up happening then is it was so effective. They had been putting a number of folks into permanent housing. You'd have these folks that are they had been on the streets for quite some time. And some of them don't even want services, but they want to just kind of keep going and doing what they're doing. And it ended up happening is that they started to have this success go. And it started as a model for being able to handle the entire person as a person rather than just someone we need to get rid of or, as you said, drop off somewhere else or just kind of push it away. Well, it went one step further. And what ended up happening is because it's been so popular and it's actually worked so well, they were looking for during COVID, as well as kind of down the road here, is a place to actually hold court. And the homeless court is not able, it's a very difficult thing to put everybody in a building, and you have to have all these, it's kind of tough. They ended up putting up a pilot program where we now actually have homeless court over right next to the police station, right across, right next to the high school. They cordoned off this whole area. They've got a bench. They've got, it looks just like a courtroom, but it's wonderful. And this is a great thing for us to be able to have here, is that we as Redondo Beach are kind of forging the way forward on being able to help our homeless population and get them through this process, and then starting these programs. Again, it's a combination of like the Harbor Interfaith folks, which are there, it's PATH, which is people that are helping the homeless. And that's a group that goes out with our police officers, and they engage with the homeless if they're there. So we have someone there that works there constantly. And the idea is that it's like we're starting to really engage and get better results, because they're actually getting off the streets and getting help. And it's been a great thing. So this homeless court just went into place about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. It had a very successful start. You're going to probably see it on the news here pretty quick. And because it's court and it's, it's very formal, and there's a judge, and there's things that are going on here, but it is a great program to say, this is how you actually deal with this homeless issue that we have. And it's a really good thing to be proud of from Redondo Beach. Our prosecutors are fantastic. One is, her name is Anna Papadopoulos. She's been on the forefront. Also, our quality of life prosecutor, Joy Abikin. She is fantastic. They've been doing that. And then a big kudos to Mike Webb, who is our city attorney. And they've been just doing a great job. So any questions I can answer about that, but it's just a fantastic program. And like I said, you can probably start seeing it on the news here pretty quick. So I believe the Easy Reader and the Beach Reporter had articles on it as well. So, Marco,
just a quick question. Oh, sorry, John, Mr. Gran. That's a great program. How are they getting them into permanent housing? Just curious. How are they? What's the method, and how are they financing it and things like that?
Sure. So there are a number of programs where there's where we have certain Harbor Interfaith. There's a woman over there, and I'm forgetting her name right at the moment. So, but it's she has a number of programs and a number of places that will accept people. I'm not exactly sure how they do that. Through COVID, we've been having there's been a program where there's been hotel rooms and motel rooms available for them. So we've been keeping them off the streets there. But there are some permanent homeless shelters and things that they've been able to kind of get to. Not exactly sure the specifics, but they do have those resources available for them. So yes, Vanessa.
Part of what happens with people who are homeless, when you have to live on the streets and take care of yourself, your priorities and the way your brain works about how to get from day to day is different from if you have a job, if you have a home, if you pay bills. So you literally have to train people, teach them how to live in society in a different way, and adapt the brain to be able to manage the kinds of things that you need to manage, to pay rent, to pay for healthcare, to do the kinds of things that we take for granted. So there's a lot of steps from transition housing to permanent housing that are not just about the money, because to get a job, you need to be able to think about getting up in the morning, getting to work in the morning, as opposed to what am I going to do today to go to the bathroom and find food. It's a very different mindset. So these organizations that work with the homeless are tremendous in the kind of work that they do to help people in that way.
Yeah, exactly. I used to do some volunteer work with the downtown women's shelter down on 6th Street. I think they built a new building, and they did an awesome job. They had limited rooms, of course, for availability, because it was a live-in situation, they had a shop they worked in. So yes, exactly. And I didn't know if we had anything like that in Redondo Beach or the South Bay. And of course, like you said, it was to transition these ladies to get off the street, get a job, get skills, and they're very successful. They've had a great success story down there. But thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah, we actually don't have any homeless shelters here in Redondo Beach. There's a couple in Long Beach and a couple of areas, but yeah, they do some incredible work. Marco, this was your question, and you had mentioned that you work.
No, thank you very much for giving a great summary.
Yeah, you're welcome. And is that kind of what you heard on your back end working for the courts?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it was posted as one of these new pilot programs, and I kind of interesting that it's effectively only in Redondo Beach, and Redondo Beach is kind of leading the way.
Yeah, I'll just say there are a number of things at Redondo Beach that does very well. This is one of those things where it's been better than anybody has expected, and we should be very proud of our city for that. I just have to say, it's very incredible to be able to say that. So, all right, so there's a homeless court. We had Halloween. So what's going to happen with Halloween? So I don't know if you guys saw in the news the other day, LA County came out and said, no trick-or-treating, no trunk trick-or-treating. You know, if you're going to do that, get in your car and do the kind of the drive-by trick-or-treating and things like that. They since pulled that back a little bit and said, well, I guess the uproar was incredible. So even they kind of bowed to pressure a little bit. I'll just say, I don't expect to have any trick-or-treaters, and I'll expect to have a couple of folks kind of come within a couple of distance, but it's, you know, it's pieces of candy, it's this and that. I feel so sorry for these young little people that look forward to Halloween all year. So
yeah, and I wondered. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Thank you. And I thought maybe because I feel sorry for the little kids because you get so excited. You know, they get so excited, they get dressed up and go out. And if we could come together as a community, and I was thinking maybe I could just put a little like folding table out in front with some candy. I can supervise it, you know, stand at the door so there's no direct contact. I don't know, something like that. But I see Vanessa shaking her head.
It's just if you think about infection control, that what she was saying yesterday on the county call for elected officials is, think of all the regulations we have in the restaurants for what people need to do in order to serve food and to hand food back and forth. And with the no regulation, you don't know what people are doing inside their homes with that food. You don't, it's a nightmare when you think of infection control with people handing stuff back and forth and all of the, oh my God. So,
well taken.
The ideas of, like, one of the things we do in my block, and everybody is welcome on Sunday if you want to come at 4:00 on my block, 200 North Irina. We do a street party where we take the whole street. So people are really far apart. We all wear masks and we play really loud music for 15 minutes. And for October, we're going to do a costume contest. So it'll be out on the street and we'll take pictures. Maybe the city could do something. I don't know how we could broadcast it or what, but that people send in pictures of their kids and we post it someplace and there's a contest and you get prizes and what those, I don't know, but we've got to find ways to be creative, to give our kids the opportunity to do that. And the parade idea is great, but then you're in a car. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, like you said, some creative way we could come up with as a community.
People could still decorate their homes. Maybe the city could have a home decorating contest where there's people send in the pictures of their homes, or you could drive around. We could, you know, publicize where the best home decoration is, and that could be the parade in the city of Redondo, like we do the Christmas, the Santa Claus thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, but just
it's going to be rough. I'll just say it that way. It's going to be a tough thing to be able to handle, and you know, Vanessa, I could kind of see the smoke kind of coming out of your ears going, how do you keep this going? So yeah, unfortunately, I think as we've all been experiencing, there's just a ton of things that we're going to have to go without this year, and it's unfortunate. So
well, thank you for the discussion. Thank you.
Sorry for the bad news. So that's
Halloween
all right.
is canceled.
I know the Grinch stole Halloween this year.
All right, so let's talk about curb cuts. I think someone brought those up. So curb cuts, we're all very familiar with ADA compliant curb cuts. They're on as many curbs as we can get. Turns out that while a lot of people are not on the streets as much and there's not as much traffic, even though it's getting a little bit more busy these days, it's a perfect time for a public works department to go out there and just bang this stuff out. They've been just hitting it. So I had a count about 3 weeks ago that I was given. It was something like we had like 42 curb cuts, all kind of in the works as we at any one point in time. It's just amazing how they do that. They're cutting them, they're doing, and they lay the concrete out and they take care of it all. It's been really nice to see that. And I've been taking a lot of pictures and I'll be posting some things about it. But the idea is that these are backlog things that have been paid for through funds that are not general funds. This is our kind of what they call it, our special funds for this kind of thing. And it was just, they were taking an opportunity to actually just take care of a lot of these different things. So that's really, it's been kind of nice to watch. I've had a number of folks call and say, hey, you need to fix this and you need to fix that. If you have any, or if on your curb, like you said, the curb doesn't meet the concrete very nicely or whatever it does, let me know. We can certainly fix it, or I'm sure they're on top of it because they're doing a pretty good job. Our contractor that's doing it's doing a pretty good job, but let me know and I can help. So anyway, just those are all going in right now and it's actually kind of cool. So any other questions about that at all? All right, don't see any hands or anything like that. So I'm going to talk about the Galleria in just a couple of minutes. So let me kind of go to crime. And I know that Scott, you're talking about crime and all that. So we've been doing a couple of different things with the police lately. And one of my last calls that I've had, or Zoom meetings, we actually had Police Chief Kaufman come on. They were talking more about the engagement process, and it was kind of when we were having some social unrest in our country, and he kind of wanted to talk about things. But he also talked about crime right now in our city. And it's interesting. With COVID, things kind of went quiet for a while, and now things are kind of going back sort of to normal. People are kind of going about their same business. That means that the folks that are doing bad things are also kind of back at it too. That being said, what I saw just the other day were some statistics that said that actually crime is going down in Redondo Beach, even compared to 2019, which was down from 2018 and was down, so we were on this downward trend. I think what's happening in a couple of things, and I'll just say it this way. Right now, everybody's paying a lot of attention. And it's like we're all home. We're watching out our door. We're kind of watching the news. We're doing a lot of things that we're not going about our normal lives as much as we normally do. And I believe that it's seeming like things are getting more crowded and more activities going on, when in fact it's actually less. And I'm not trying to say, no, it's really not, but that's what the numbers say, okay? And again, we had this discussion at the city council the other day about sirens. And one of our city council members, Todd Lowenstein in District 2, he had wanted to have a discussion about, I guess a number of his neighbors were saying that they were hearing so many more sirens. Well, it turns out that we actually had about 23% less siren calls this year as compared to last year. And it was attributed to this, everybody's home and paying attention. And then, it's you're home, you're like, man, there's a lot. Well, I'd normally be at the store and I wouldn't hear it, or I'd be, but now we're in one place, we're kind of there. And it means that we're all becoming a bit more aware. And I think that's a good thing. Unfortunately, you know, it's one of those things that you kind of go, you kind of go, there's not really much we can do about it. And the numbers actually are showing that crime's going down. Scott, you're going to have like individual issues. I saw the post when they said that they took your catalytic converter and you've got some other things. That just sucks. I'll just say it that way. And those are those kind of things where I think it's appropriate you're taking measures to do that. I wish there was something that we could do where we could patrol even more. One thing that you can't do with me is, as your city council member, is if you have things that you want to have more of an eye on, I can direct our staff, our police, to actually go to your house or go by your house or go wherever it is more often. So Sergeant Springle, he's our traffic person in charge of traffic. He's actually a very good friend of mine. I knew him even before he was on the force. It's kind of interesting. But, and not that that helps, but as a city council member, I can say, hey, we're having a problem over on whatever street, or there's an issue here. Can you have patrol go by there more often? And they are happy to do that. So I'm happy to do those things. If you see something, say something. Okay, there's the contact of, you can call the police, always 911. You can also call the non-emergency line, and they are happy to do that. And in fact, they want you to call, and that's a good thing. Also, what I've been doing for a couple of folks as well, and this is, again, how you use a city council member, is if you don't feel comfortable reporting something, contact me, I'll report it for you. You know, it's my, you know, I'm your advocate on resources as well as focusing on things. We had recently on Nextdoor, there was a couple of posts about very loud cars driving up and down the streets. Okay, yeah. So I chime in and I say, well, you know, why aren't we doing something about that? Well, it's very hard to do because by the time you say something, you know, and you can try to get people over there, they're gone. Okay, so there's that. Well, I said, look, here's how you deal with this. If you know where the cars are, okay, and if they happen on a regular basis, that happens every Friday night at between 8 and 10, tell me where it is and I'll get someone over there. Well, it turns out that one of our neighbors emailed me and sent me a screenshot of, like a Google Maps, and said, that car right there, these two here, they even have license plates that they went and did, and they did it very nicely, but they didn't feel comfortable sending it in. I sent it in to our officers. They were on it. That next day, they went out and they visited them. We talked about it. They've got the laws. They've got all these things. And that's exactly how it got taken care of. And I actually heard that they were talked to. Turns out, I don't know exactly what happened, but they said, well, yeah, we're going out there tomorrow. And it's like, that's how it works. Okay. So if you see something, say something. Also, I'm your advocate, and you know, I'm a public figure as of right now because I'm your city council member. Just let me know. Okay.
I thought of one question as we were talking about this kind of topic. I don't know if anybody else has noticed. I'm in, you know, by Ringe and Artesia, that area.
Right.
Have you been hearing, like Wednesday night, for example, fireworks? People are shooting fireworks off. And one of my neighbors mentioned, she goes, I wish we could find out who's doing that. This one seemed to come from down on Rockefeller over by the school on Wednesday, especially when we've got all the fires and ash and people are shooting fireworks off. What can we do about that?
Well, it's kind of that same thing, yeah, where
thing, yeah,
taking advantage of, you know, quick hits, right? And so if you can say, hey, it happens every Friday night, I can have people over there. What was interesting is right around 4th of July, it was a phenomenon around our country where everybody was saying, there's all these fireworks, what's going on? Again, I think everybody's cooped up at home. Yeah. They got to do something, and you know, it's like, get out there and let out some energy or something like that.
But this happened here even before COVID, even last year. Like every once in a while, I'll just hear like a cherry bomb go off down the street. It's like, who's doing that, you know? I don't know. I know, like you said, it's hard to catch them, but somebody must live next door to these people, right? Anyway, it's annoying because it scares you, you know, you hear it and it's like, what's happening? Anyway, so.
Well, if you can ever kind of pinpoint or give any information, I'll tell you, the cops are the first ones to want to be able to take care of that.
Okay, you know, next time it happens, I will just call in. I won't call 911, of course. I'll just call the police department. I usually don't but I will from now on, because it's like my neighbors on Wednesday, the first firework that went off, she thought it was a gunshot. It's scary, you know? It's random. It's plus of all the smoke that's already in. Anyway, I don't need to go on anymore. Thank you.
If there's any way that we can do it, great. Okay. So anyway, that's kind of what we have with crime. Any specific things, just let me know, and I'll see what I can do to help. So we spoke a little bit about the homeless, but we didn't really talk about over near routes. Okay, and let me talk about over that in that whole area, as well as starting to kind of get into the Galleria. Okay, so well, tell you what, let's go 2 other subjects here. We're going to do the Green Line and street sweeping first, and then we'll kind of go back to the Galleria area, and we'll do that first. All right, Green Line. So here's what's going on with the Green Line. You may or may not be aware of this, but the Caltrans wants to extend the Green Line, which is our commuter trains, all the way down to Torrance. And they want to go through Redondo Beach. They need to go through Lawndale and Redondo Beach down to Torrance. And there's two things that they're studying. One is going down the current right-of-way, which is where the train tracks are right now. And that is one. The second, instead of coming where it is on Redondo Avenue, they would go on over to the freeway, take the freeway, kind of come down a little bit, and then come straight down the middle of Hawthorne Boulevard. Okay, and those are the 2 things that they're checking out. So their Metro is in the process of doing an EIR, which is an environmental impact report. They're looking at those 2 things, and they're thinking that EIR is going to probably be done, I would say, in the next year or so. Okay, so it'll be probably towards the end of the year. Yeah, and I just saw an email about it that they are moving forward with it, no matter, even without COVID and all that. So it's been a kind of an interesting thing that those 2 processes are in place. I would say the one that goes down the right of way, we are now changing and moving our transit center, which you can start to see here in the first couple of months of next year. We're going to be moving the transit center from where it is currently, which is on Kingsdale and Artesia, and it's going to be moved over to the south side of Target. So in that little area there where the Goodwill parts are. It's a fantastic thing. It's about a $14 million project. It's going to be done over the next year and a half, and it's going to be really cool. I have to say, it's going to be very cool to have that over there. It's going to look a lot better, and if the train goes through there, who knows what will happen. It might expand, it might do some other things, but the idea is there. So they're looking at both of those. I've said if anybody has real strong feelings one way or the other, you need to make sure that you talk to Metro and make your people heard. This is what I've said to a number of folks about the whole process. They say, well, John, you're not being loud enough. And I said, I've shared what I believe, which I said is either one works. I want to make sure that we get this done. But Metro's going to do what Metro's going to do. So they don't listen to a lot of, they're going to listen to the public, and if there's a big outcry for one or the other. But with a city council member like myself, I may have the ability to get to a microphone, but their Metro makes up their own minds. So it's not really up to me, it's up to them. And going and lobbying them directly is really what's important. So hopefully that helped. Okay, street sweeping. So let's do this. I wrote a little post here about street sweeping, and I'm going to share it with you guys. So street sweeping. So here's what we have. There's going to begin ticketing starting on September 21st which is in about a week and a half, they're going to start ticketing. They've been putting warning tickets out there. Okay, so here's what the scoop is. We wanted to give the residents about a month, if possible, to say, hey, you got to start remembering where your car is. You got to find a place to park. We're still all having to be home a lot more, and it's going to be a bit of a pain to find parking spots if you have to park on the streets. But we wanted to give everybody as much time as possible. So the key date is Monday, the 21st of September. Okay. So here's what's been going on. So people have asked me, so why are we starting to ticket, and why are we even doing this even during COVID? I mean, it's the same thing. Well, here's what's happened. You realize that because we haven't been able to get all the way to the curb with our street sweeping, you know, you see these guys, they just kind of go down the middle of the street and they're picking up what they can. We're not getting to the curb. Now, when rainy season starts, all of that debris, as well as the sand, goes down into our sewers and it starts to jam them all up. Just as simple as that. Up here in North Redondo, it's not as bad. I mean, we do have some things that kind of go on, but the debris does go down there, and it's when it starts down closer to the ocean, you got more and more sand. You've got all these things. And again, one thing that I've found about being a city council member is that before I was on city council, I kind of looked at things on a singular level. I looked outward at my life and what I'm doing, and I kind of go, well, why are they doing that? Why do I have to move my car on Monday or Friday? I'm just using that as an example. When you start to become a city council member, you start to get the understanding that we're 68,000 people. And it might be an inconvenience for me on one person as I'm doing this, or me and my wife, and it affects my day to day. But we're starting to look at the larger piece, which is, well, you know, over time, that stuff goes down into our sewers. Our sewers, then we have to go and we have to fix them, and we have to do all this other stuff. And it's really looking at the aggregate, and you're having to make decisions based on that. It's been kind of an interesting process to start to understand that. And again, it's, I used to say, why do things take so long with the city? This is crazy. I'm a business person. I can get stuff done. Turns out that with the city, you have to do it correctly every time. You have to allow everyone to participate. You have to have the public be able to do things. And we make changes based on what people say. And it's, you know, it's been kind of that simple. And it's been a kind of a very interesting learning experience. I mean, I've been in office for 3.5 years, and it's been interesting. I'll just say it that way. So anyway, that's what the scoop with street sweeping. Any other questions I can answer for anybody? Okay. All right. So let's go back to the Galleria and the homelessness. And the area that's currently our bus station is right on the corner of Kingsdale and Artesia Boulevard. Again, that's going to be moved over to just south of Torrance, or pardon me, south of Target, right on Kingsdale. Kingsdale is also going to get a full scrape. It's also, we're going to, where that center is, we're actually going to straighten out Kingsdale and put in another lane. So there'll be a right turn lane that kind of goes off of there as well. So we're gonna take a kind of a swath out there. So it's gonna be a lot better. But here's the thing with that. And I do see that we have a question from 310-408-4212. Did we have a question for? Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so, well, if you have a question, just go ahead and chime on in.
Actually, I have one. I'm
Yes.
just curious about the whole green line, and you know, what's the you know, the plan and the timeline, if there is one anymore.
Sure.
Because I guess it's supposed to stop at the Galleria.
Yes.
And continue on right next door to where I live in Central Torrance, or something like that. That's a joke, but the point is, though, is that it's going to continue on. And you know, what's the plan on that, John?
Sure. So the green line is part of the Mayor Garcetti's or the county's 20 by 20 or 28 by 28. 28 projects done by 2028. So the idea is that they want to get this. They have the funding for it. I don't know that they do or they don't, but they do have the funding for it. And they're on target to see if they can have this done by 2028. That's what I've been told.
2028.
2028.
Yeah, so in time for the LA Olympics.
Correct.
Which
So that
is quite necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
good.
and again, it's one of those things where when you have like the Olympics, it's going to be so crowded, but we end up adjusting because it was so crowded, right? So it turns out to not be crowded. So it's kind of a weird thing. So yeah, and there will be a stop at Galleria, whether it's over where the transit center is or if it's coming down Hawthorne Boulevard. They've talked about one that's right there as well. So we'll see. So the Galleria, by the way, has been just fantastic as far as being accommodating on either way. They also said, hey, if they wanted to stop on their property, they could. You know, they don't listen to them either. They want to do whatever they're going to do. So.
I do have a question, just a clarifying question, and I'm sorry I jumped in late because I just had an issue this morning. The metro project you're talking about, is that part of the Artesia Aviation project as well? Is that all one project?
No, this is so the Green Line is a metro project, and that's something that's much larger than just the aviation and Artesia corridors.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So what we're talking about there in the Artesia and aviation corridors, first, that's a master planning document that we actually put together as a city. And what we did there is we're starting to say, how do we reimagine Artesia and Aviation Boulevard? Okay. And I'll say it this way. It's a problem that is on the surface looks very kind of straightforward. Hey, just, you know, get some better places to live there, you know, to work there and places to shop, and it'll be great. Unfortunately, it works this way. A lot of the businesses and the property owners there are long-term residents. They've had it's been paid for, it's already there, and that's great for them. For them to sell out or to sell their property, and the property values are very high, you end up having a high value to pay to just get the land. And we'll just use the True Value Hardware for an example. Okay. Family owns that. I'm very good friends with them, and they want $4.1 million for the land. And that's that whole corner, which is the True Value Hardware store, as well as the Yanagi's corner. Okay. $4.1 million is a lot to pay. Okay. Now, if you think about the financial piece of that, you have to be able to get a business that can pay back $4.1 million plus however much it costs to put all that stuff back together. And the idea is that it's like, that's a business that needs a lot of cars. And it's just because people are going to come in and out. We would love it if we could think of ways to not have cars come into our city. But for right now, that's what we have. So you have this parking issue. Well, there's a parking issue there because there's not enough parking spots. Okay, so what do? Do we put in parking lots, you know, and stack them somewhere? Okay, well, where? Who owns them? How do you pay for them? How do you do all those things? That's kind of the economic development piece. And so the aviation and Artesia corridor start to talk about how do we reimagine those things? How do we put maybe a trolley car that goes up and down Artesia Boulevard so that we can park at the Galleria, but we can still get everybody up and down? I don't know, something like that. Maybe there's 2 or 3 places on the boulevard where we can put a parking lot and you know, make a parking garage or something like that. So those are the kind of things that go on there, and it's been something that's been rather difficult to kind of unwind. Yeah, you have to create parking to bring other businesses that can actually afford to reinvest in this area, and that's kind of where we are. And that's the. Does that help?
Well, again, I'm sorry to interrupt because I jumped in late, so I don't know if you already talked about it. I'm calling in because our issue, because we live in that area, is because of the traffic nightmare that's going to cause for us. So I was just hoping maybe later on at the end of the meeting we can talk about. I don't know if you're open to coming out to our neighborhood, and if
Absolutely.
I can arrange some social distance meeting on the street so we can talk to you about it.
That'd be great.
So I don't want to waste your time with this meeting.
Sure. And in fact, I do that quite a bit, so happy to do that. I always say it this way. You know how you get your city council member to come on out and check out your neighborhood? You ask them. So happy to do so. So.
I have one question. I'm sorry, because I hadn't heard about this master plan. Is part of the plan going to be demolishing the existing buildings? Like you mentioned the hardware store in Yanagi, I know exactly where that is.
Right.
Give me a little bit more.
Sure. So the planning is, so there's a document that went before the Planning Commission back on August 20th, that talks about artesian aviation corridors and some of the, what I would call reimagining, but also some kind of long-term planning for that. One of the things that they're talking about is potentially how do we maybe, and again, this is a maybe, put in bike lanes along there, and we change how it is so that it makes it a little bit more walkable, things like that. Where do we put parking? How do we address some of the codes there, so that how high do we want our buildings to be able to be? Okay, so as we're starting to do that, that's part of what's called our general plan or our zoning for that area. So up and down Artesia Boulevard, you end up having, like right now, they can have 2-story buildings. Maybe we allow 3-story buildings so that they can get enough things. Like I said, we're trying to figure that out, and that's what our planning documents are about. Also, starting to look at a common look and feel for Artesia Boulevard as well, so that it doesn't look as disjointed. Okay, so maybe we do something like that. With regards to the Galleria, things are going to change quite a bit as far as the look and feel here. And,
that I knew, yeah, that project I was aware of. I've seen, I think you shared some of the plans, but Artesia, I mean, couldn't they just kind of do, like you said, a common look and feel? Maybe could be as simple as just refacing some of the buildings so that they all, like where the beauty college is along that strip, just kind of reface it, make them all look the same with new signage that matches or something. I don't know, but that's a lot. I mean, when I start hearing, you know, the hardware store in Yanagi's and 3-story, that's a lot of construction. And yeah, I don't know. Anyway, thank you.
So it comes down to a couple of things, and maybe this is the Galleria is a good thing to talk about.
Yeah.
So I've been in touch with the Galleria, you know, during COVID and all these different things. They're having to kind of go, okay, you know, they are fully invested in investing. I'll just call it that. So sorry for the pun there, but they're very much into what's it going to look like. Okay, so they're going to come back probably I would say mid next year. Probably around March, April, May, with their preliminary plans for what they're going to do for this property. They do believe that even though we don't know what retail shopping looks like right now, okay, especially with the mall closed right now and all those different things, what it's going to look like, but they are a believer that it's going to go forth in some form. Okay, so we're good with that. One thing is that they're going to, you know, we can talk about the things that they're going to do, but they're basically going to put in a hotel. They're going to put in apartment buildings. They're also going to make an outdoor area that's going to be kind of driven with restaurants and all sorts of cool things. One of the things that I actually made sure happened, and this is one of the things that was a big point for me when we approved the project, is that when you arrive at that corner of Artesia and Hawthorne, I want you to know that you're in Redondo Beach. Okay, so it's like you come in right now, you kind of don't know. It looks kind of like, well, are we in Lawndale? Are we in Torrance? Where are we? When we come in, I want them to basically know that we're there. So that's one of the things that they're working on. We'll have kind of some like wow moments. Okay. The issue becomes, yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt again. I mean, I think the plan sounds beautiful and it's going to bring a lot of business to Redondo Beach, and I don't have a problem with that. But can you talk about a little more about the bike lane? Because if you're taking out a lane or like putting a lane on Artesia Boulevard, that's major artery to in and out of Redondo Beach. You're talking about access to the 405, access to the beach. That's going to create a lot of traffic. So I don't have a problem with beautifying the area and all these buildings, but my issue is that bike lane, because I mean, I know people use the bike, they ride a bike, and yeah, they entitled to a bike lane, but there are more cars. I don't think as many people as you think are going to ride their bikes through that area. There'll be more cars, and it's just going to jam up our streets. Look at what happened at the pier area where the bike lanes are. It's just very dangerous because bicyclists don't stop for cars. Cars don't necessarily stop for bicyclists. Everyone is texting these days.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, and Venice did a similar thing a couple, 2-3 years ago, I think, on Washington. It's a mess up there. They blocked out. No, it's a mess. It's traffic jam city. Terrible. Yeah.
Well, so here's one thing about planning. Okay, so we're talking about, this is not like in the next year we're going to put in one. These are long range plans, and I'll just say right now, I don't see how we have the funds to be able to put those kind of things in anyway. So this is not, I'm not trying to say it's a moot point to do any planning, but it's one of those things where you kind of put down on paper and we have a discussion. I'll just say, I don't see it happening anytime in the next 10 to 20 years. I'll just be honest. And I'm, like I said, it's not for here or not for even me to say, but the idea is that these are things where you're starting to look very much further out. As we start to kind of address, okay, so the use of cars are starting to be, less and less. Well, with COVID, all of a sudden Uber and Lyft don't, no one's driving a lot of those cars at the moment, but there are going to be other forms of travel. With regards to, and again, the proposed bike lane is only one proposition. It is a little bit more about changing some of the zoning and things like that. But I do understand your concern about bike lanes, and that area, meaning Artesia as a kind of a conduit for Hermosa and Manhattan and everybody else to kind of get out of the city into the traffic studies will dictate what happens. We can't just stop things up just because we want to as well. So hopefully that, I'm not trying to evade your question or your concern. It's just, I think we're starting to talk about planning that's way out there. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Are we talking about possible tax assessment or property tax assessment to pay for this project?
I don't believe so. I don't think so. I'll tell you, if we were to do tax assessments, we would be doing something about the waterfront, and we can't even really get that done. So I don't think we would, no. So there are a number of things that kind of happen, like to finance these kind of projects. We have what's called Measure M and Measure R funds, and those are funds that we can get from the state and from our county to help with road maintenance or putting in different things or changing stuff. We would probably use those, but you have to kind of accumulate those over a number of years, and we do get those funds right now, and that would be something that we're doing. It's again, as being a councilman, you start to understand how the financing works, and that's a great question that you just brought up. We use the taxes that we collect right now, property taxes and some of the other things. We have about a $97 million budget, and we spend about $97 million through police, fire, all the different things that we do with that. But also we're setting usually aside about $1 million of new projects or new stuff to fix our infrastructure and all of that. And we put those into funds that can't be used in other ways. Bring up a good question is, if we want to do something big, like build another fire station or build another police station or do something others, we have to figure out ways to finance that. And that's why we've actually approached it's called a public-private partnership, or a PPP, that allows them to use their revenue to kind of fund these things. And that's kind of what we've been able to do as well. So I don't see something like that happening on Artesia Boulevard, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen either. So hopefully that answers some of your questions. And like I said, I'd be happy to come on out and chat with you as well, and kind of answer questions for you and your neighbors as well. So.
Thank you.
All right. So we've got about 5 more minutes or so, and I just kind of wanted to touch on the Galleria. So in speaking with them, they are starting to move forward. We're going to see a couple of things, probably, like I said, March, April, May, sometime in there, with preliminary plans. They're going to come back and kind of just touch bases with us. And pre-COVID, they were looking at having retailers and all sorts of folks, and all the things kind of happening by this time. They've been delayed about another 6 months or so. That's why we're looking at 2021 for some plans. They had wanted to break ground kind of at the end of 2021. I'll bet you that's pushed back to at least 2022. So just kind of an update. Let's see what else. Let's see. Any other, how about we talk about AES? Has anybody heard about what happened at AES last week? Okay. So AES power plant has been purchased by a gentleman. His name is Leo Polsnikoff, sorry. And AES and Mr. Polsnikoff, they had been petitioning to keep the, nice cat. So had been petitioning to have the AES power plant stay open for an additional 3 years. That gives them more revenue. They can do a couple of things, and they made their case. The power plant was scheduled to be closed at the end of 2020. So December 31st, 2020, all was called one-time through cooling plants, which is what we have, meaning they use salt water to cool the pipes and all the things that are going on over there, were to be shut down by the end of this year. So there was at the water district, there was a big thing that we talked about, and they wanted to actually be open for another 3 years. Turns out that they came down with a decision. Redondo Beach's AES power plant will be actually open for 1 more year. And that is while we're not very happy about that, it's better than the 3 years that was potential. As our mayor has said a number of times, he says, you know what, it says 1 year, but then they kind of laid the groundwork for it to be open for the remainder of those years. So the following 3 years, so we have to be very diligent on that. Our city council has been 5-0 of trying to make sure that this gets shut down as soon as possible. And let's hope that we can figure that out. Looks like we have a question here. Having library open for book checkout has been great if popular. Are they going to expand the hours? The answer is no. The hours that we have right now are in place mostly because of COVID. Since it's not an essential, I mean, it's a good thing to have, and we want to have those folks. But the hours that we have right now are the hours that we have. But anything that we can do to do that would be great. We're just lucky to have them open right now. From a budget standpoint, one more thing, Vanessa. From a budget standpoint, COVID is costing the city about $13 million. Okay, so meaning our revenues are not there. So if you have to cut $13 million this year, it's been a tough thing, and we got through it. We had to decommission a number of positions. We had to do all of that, and we basically took a 5% public safety cut, and the rest of the city took a 15% cut, and it's been pretty tough. That's one of the reasons why we're in where we are with the library. Vanessa, you had your hand up.
I would just follow up on the AES. I read something about the guy who bought it doesn't want to keep the Wailing Wall. What's happening with that?
Sure. So again, it's kind of one of those property rights things where he does own it. I understand that he's had discussions with Wyland on how to possibly save it or move it or do something like that. What I do believe is he wants to do something else with that wall, and I think that's part of why he's putting up those other the other murals down below, so that he can kind of start doing that. I don't know what he wants, but I wasn't very happy with that. But also, it's one of those things where he owns it. So what did we do? And so we'll have to be vocal if we want to save it. So, all right, John, do you know why Aviation Park and Aviation Boulevard is still closed? I have no idea. So sorry about that, but I can certainly check into that, BJ.
Yeah, the beach is closed. Beaches are open. The walkway by the beach is open.
Oh, you mean the
Paths
track?
are open. I went there 3 times and it was still closed. I don't understand.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. You mean the track that's at aviation and the aviation part?
Yeah, the track, because that's where generally we go for a walk and can't even get to it for some reason.
Yeah, so as Councilwoman MD has said, is that it's basically, it gets very, very crowded, and we're just trying to make sure that everybody's socially distanced. You're exactly right. You know, the beaches are open, the bike paths are open, things like that. This is something that's actually on our property, and those other things are not us. Basically, the beaches are the county. The bike path itself, like even the North Redondo Beach bike path, that's technically not ours either. That's Edison's and other things. This is ours. If someone gets COVID, kind of doing, you know, because they're being closed, it becomes a mess. I'll just call it that. And you can kind of see where that all goes. So, but I'm sorry I misunderstood your question there. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So, do we have any last questions? Mr. Hensley, you just showed up awfully late. Did you have any questions or anything I can answer for you?
Hi. Yeah. Sorry for the background noise.
No worries.
I hope it hasn't been answered before. I wasn't able to join it till now, but the corner of Aviation and Stanford, there's a shiny new city sign saying that all enforcement street things will be enforced. I was just wondering if you could tell me about that.
So the sign that says all things will be enforced, meaning street sweeping, is that kind of what it was about?
No, it looks like all parking or speeding, or I don't know. It doesn't look like it's street sweeping, but it's right in front of the undesirable business on the corner of Aviation and Stanford.
Oh, that one there. Yeah. So what you're talking about? I'm sorry, I kind of had a little. Yes. So this is what we're talking about. There is on Aviation and Stanford, which is the 1300 block of Aviation. There is an illegal church that is a dispensary for cannabis. Okay, so they are using the loophole between the state and the city's ordinances to actually run themselves as a church and dispense cannabis. It's been an issue, and in fact, I've been working directly with the folks over on Clark, which is the street right behind there, as well as on Stanford. And what we're doing there is we're basically saying, there's a lot of folks that are coming in and out of that area. That group of residents has been very vocal, and we're starting to do a couple of things. So a couple of things to get rid of these quote churches. We've been able to successfully close them down in the past. Unfortunately, with COVID and the courts being all as they are, it's been difficult to do this one. There's 3 prongs that we're going to be going through. First, there is the criminal version, and that is something that we've been able to use before. Unfortunately, what happens is their lawyers are very good. In a criminal proceeding, they delay all the way until they finally have to show up in court. They close down the business. Oh, I'm sorry, we closed. 30 days later, they open back up under a new name, and it starts all over again. So that's the hard part. So you end up trying to go after the owner of the buildings, and we're starting to do that, but that's a civil case. Civil cases take even longer because the courts are backed up and they're just trying to get through the criminal cases. The administrative cases or the civil cases are just taking forever. The third prong that we're going through is what's called an administrative abatement process. And that is something that we can do at a local area, at a local ordinance level. It's where if you have a business that is a nuisance, and we're just using that as right now, we can actually do an abatement, which can close them down in our city, but we have to have it documented. We have to do all that. So the post that you're talking about, the signs there, that is a warning for them that says, hey, do not park illegally. Now, Clark Lane, we're starting to look at trying to get the parking permits there, and we're trying to do it so that they don't have a place to park, and it hopefully will hinder that business. So we're starting to do that, but it's been quite an ongoing process. In fact, I was just on a Zoom call on Wednesday night with 2 of the main folks that are pretty angry about this whole thing. We went through a couple of processes. I was on with Councilman Horvath, and we've been working with them. Joy Abikin, our quality of life prosecutor, as well as Mike Webb, our city attorney. We've been working on that for the last 10 months, trying to get rid of them, and COVID's not helping. So that's a long-winded answer to that's what sign is out there. How's that? So
thank you, I appreciate it.
John, I have a question.
Yes.
What's the situation with the contracts with the firefighters and the police?
So the contract, yeah. So we just so police, they have a 3-year deal in place and a contract in place with appropriate pay rate increases and things like that. So they're very happy as well. With the fire departments, they are ecstatic. So they got a 4-year deal that we'd signed. They actually, the firefighter union was able to negotiate with the city. We just recently, last week, actually signed a 4-year deal that allows them to increase their pay over about 11% over the next 4 years. They're very happy. It kind of solves their longevity process. They were sustainable. What we ended up doing, though, is to pay for this for the next year, we're going from 4 people on one of those 4 folks on a truck down to 3 on one of those trucks. Okay, the larger trucks that they use. That was kind of a negotiated thing. They do believe that it can happen, and we're in no different danger. These 3 people can manage that truck. It does change things a little bit, but it allows us to get into a long-term deal with them. They are ecstatic about the fact that they do have a longer deal, and they kind of see it as, hey, we have to do this for COVID for right now, especially since we had to cut their department about 5%. So
and the issue about moving to the county is kind of dead.
Completely gone. So for now, and I'll just say the process for going to county did not save any money. It was wildly unpopular, and I'll just say I'm very happy that things worked out the way that they did. It was not fun. You're aware of what
it wasn't fun for you. We know that.
Yeah. But sometimes you have to make the tough call. Just so if anybody doesn't know, the fire union, along with some folks with Rescue Our Waterfront, which are the folks that are opposed to anything down at the waterfront, they attempted to recall me because of a study to go to LA County Fire. Turns out that it was not popular, didn't save us money, and we ended up getting our fire department taken care of for the next 4 years. And it was a little ugly for a little while, but that's how it goes. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. We're a little bit over, so thank you very much for hanging in there. I'll just leave you with all of this. I know it's been a tough 6 months. We're bored to tears here at home because we're home here and we don't go out. But just wish you all to be safe. Take care, wear a mask, do the things that you need to do. We have very good news that the numbers are going down, which is a great thing for us. And Redondo Beach has been doing a fantastic job as far as keeping our spread down. So thank you, Kabir. That's great. Appreciate it. So anyway, you all be safe. And if you do need me, let me know. And if you would like to, the person that's on the phone, if you'd like to stay on, I'll chat with you for just a second. We'll get addresses and kind of work some things out. That'd be great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman. Thank you. And
you're welcome. Thanks for being on today.